On the day my parents divorced, my brother John and I had to choose who to live with. John chose our father, who owned a company, without hesitation, and I could only choose my unemployed mother. Unexpectedly, a month later, my father's company went bankrupt. John wandered everywhere with him, hiding from debt collectors, while I followed my mother, who remarried into a wealthy family, living a luxurious life. Seeing how good my life became, John grew jealous. He drove a truck straight toward me. When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn back to the day of my parents' divorce. They were in the middle of a fierce argument. My father said his factory wasn't doing well. He could only afford to raise one child. Jack was weak and couldn't do heavy work. Naturally, he wanted the stronger John. After speaking, my father's guilty eyes darted away. He didn't dare look at either of his sons. My mother was furious when she heard this. She had heard David's factory was about to be demolished for compensation. Now he wanted to dump a sickly child on her, just so he could take John and enjoy the payout in secret. Saying this, she yanked John to her side, then firmly declared she would raise John, and I would be left to father. In my previous life, this was the moment when both parents pushed me away, not wanting me. They both wanted the sweet-talking, strong John, and I was thrown to my mother like garbage. The result was that my father gambled away all the demolition money, while my mother, shortly after the divorce, unexpectedly married Larry, a famous real estate tycoon in the city. At that moment, a voice interrupted everyone's argument. It was John, saying he wanted to go with mom. I snapped my head toward my brother beside me, and in that instant, I understood. I wasn't the only one reborn. John was reborn too. My father froze, because John had always been close to him. John shot him a look of disgust, then turned to my mother with a greasy smile, saying he would be filial to her from now on. My mother was stunned by his sudden words. Then she was secretly overjoyed. She quickly decided I would follow my father, and eagerly cut ties with David. My mother looked at David, saying each would raise one child, and they would never contact each other again. My father was about to refuse, but unexpectedly, I also said I wanted to follow him. John almost burst out laughing when he heard that. His eyes were full of smug triumph. Then he pretended to be sincere, saying he chose mom only because her health was poor and she needed care, and when he became rich in the future, he wouldn't forget to give his brother a bite to eat. I looked at John's petty, triumphant face. A faint, cold glint flashed in my eyes. In the last life, you killed me with that same face. In this life, how could I not help you meet your fate? That Larry looked like a refined businessman on the surface, but behind the scenes, he was a male-hating psychopath. In my last life, I barely survived until he dropped dead. In this life, I hope your bones are as hard as your mouth. At that moment, my mother feared David would regret it. She grabbed the agreement, signed her name quickly, then dragged John out the door. John looked back at me, made an exaggerated face, and mouthed the words "poor ghost." My father looked at the judgment papers in his hand. His expression darkened. He cursed me viciously, calling me a bringer of misfortune, saying he must have been cursed for 8 lifetimes to end up with such a burden. Then he strode out, watching his hunch get energetic back. Of course I knew what kind of man he was, but John, for all his scheming, forgot one thing. In the last life, David did go bankrupt, but 5 years later, he got lucky. One night, drunk, he accidentally saved a woman who collapsed from a heart attack on the roadside. Her name was Lisa, the future chairwoman of Jojo Group, a business queen worth hundreds of billions. In the last life, John despised Lisa for still being in her startup phase, and for her poor health. He insulted her constantly, even stole her life-saving medicine to sell for gaming money, which completely chilled Lisa's heart toward both father and son. In the end, she only gave David a small sum to send him away, but what they didn't know was, Lisa needed more than a savior. She needed someone who understood her and stood by her. That position, John couldn't hold, but I could. My father and I returned to the tiny one-bedroom apartment. The floor was covered with empty bottles and takeout boxes. The air reeked with a sour stench. My father pointed at the storage room that barely fit a single bed, telling me to clean it myself. Then he plopped onto the couch, pulled out his phone and started calling people. Only after gathering a group of gambling buddies did he hang up, satisfied. The gloom in his eyes vanished instantly, replaced by the manic excitement unique to gamblers. He rummaged through the house, took out his last savings, then shot me an impatient look, and slammed the door behind him. I let out a soft laugh. Go on, go lose it all. If you don't lose everything, how will you end up at that food stall drowning your sorrows, where your fate changes? I didn't clean the room. Instead, I picked up the day's newspaper from the living room. My eyes locked onto a small, inconspicuous headline. Jojo Technology on the brink of bankruptcy. Iron-willed CEO Lisa faces a crisis of trust. Multiple partners withdraw investment. I glanced at the clock on the wall. 5:30 p.m. According to my past life memory, that evening, Lisa would hide from debt collectors and go alone to a barbecue stall in the west of the city. I went to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face. Since my father loved gambling so much, I would take him to gamble big. This time, the stakes were a 20-year business empire. Soon I arrived at the barbecue stall in the west of the city, but I didn't go in. I stood quietly in the shadows at the corner. Soon, I saw my father. His luck was terrible today. He had been kicked out before nightfall. Now he sat at the outermost table, ordering the cheapest liquor and a plate of peanuts, still cursing me under his breath, blaming me for his bad luck after the divorce. Just then, a black sedan silently pulled up. The door opened. A woman stepped out. She walked straight to an empty table in the corner and sat down. I narrowed my eyes, thinking the opportunity had come, but I couldn't approach her directly. Lisa was extremely wary at this stage. Any deliberate approach would be seen as malicious. The best entry point was to let my father bump into her himself, so I pretended to be anxious and ran toward his table, telling him the water pipe at home had burst. Seeing me suddenly appear, my father exploded with anger. He jumped up and swung his hand to slap me. I pretended to panic and stepped back, seemingly clumsy, but the angle was calculated. His slap missed, then his foot caught on a stool leg. He fell backward uncontrollably, crashing right into Lisa, who had just stood up to get something. She had no time to dodge, and was hit hard. Her already weak heart couldn't take it. Her face turned pale instantly. She clutched her chest and bent over in pain. My father kept cursing her for not watching where she was going, even wanting to extort money. The surrounding diners gathered, whispering. Lisa was struggling to breathe, drenched in cold sweat. Her trembling hand reached for her bag, but my father stepped on the strap. Fueled by alcohol, he refused to let up. Just as Lisa's consciousness blurred and despair set in, I shoved the drunken David aside, telling him to get lost without mercy. He froze, not expecting me to push him. I quickly crouched down, grabbed Lisa's bag, pulled out a small white medicine bottle from the side pocket with precision, poured out a few pills skillfully, and placed them into her mouth. I supported her back with both hands, comforting her, telling her to relax, that once the medicine took effect, she would be fine. Through her blurry vision, Lisa saw a youthful, determined face. In that moment, the surrounding noise faded, leaving only the warmth of my palms. 6 or 7 minutes later, the tightness in her chest finally eased. She asked who I was. I gave a brief explanation, then sincerely apologized, saying I would pay for her medical expenses. My father, hearing the word pay, tried to rush over again, but I blocked him, then took Lisa to the hospital. When Lisa woke up, I explained she had suffered a cardiac syncope. The doctor said it was caused by long-term exhaustion and low blood sugar. Fortunately, she took the fast-acting heart medicine in time. Otherwise, she might be in the emergency room now. Her professional instincts made her regain alertness instantly. When she learned my father was at the police station, Lisa froze. She had never seen someone so calm it bordered on cold-blooded. I spoke bluntly, saying she should be more worried about Jojo Technologies' broken capital chain, because while she was unconscious, her phone rang 6 or 7 times, all marked as debt collection. Hearing this, Lisa's eyes sharpened. She demanded to know who I was. I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I took out a piece of scrap paper from my bag and slid it to her. I said my name was Jack. No one sent me, but if she was willing to listen, I might be able to help her solve the urgent supply chain crisis. Lisa glanced down at the paper. Her pupils contracted sharply.